everyone, today we're going to be talking about set builder and interval notation. In this first video, we'll be just talking about interval notation. So first, for some vocabulary, an interval is a part of a number line without any breaks. So for instance, if I had the number line here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, an example would be an interval between 2 and 4. So I'm looking at all the numbers between 2 and 4. And a finite interval is an interval with 2 endpoints. These can be included or not included. So example, all numbers between 2 and 4, like I just showed up here. And what it means by included or not included, so here in this example, those endpoints were included, and that's because they had a closed circle. So that just means that in this interval, we're including 2 as part of that interval. Not included, that is denoted by an open circle as my endpoints. So if this were to instead be open circles at 2 and 4, that means that this would be the interval between 2 and 4, but not including the numbers 2 and 4. So it would be everything between them. On the other hand, we also have infinite intervals, and that is an interval that is infinite on one or both ends. So for example, all numbers greater than or equal to 7. And so if I were to graph that inequality, it's all numbers greater than or equal to, so I'm including the 7, and it would be a line that goes forever in that direction towards all numbers larger than 7. And so that brings us to interval notation. And interval notation is where the symbols, the square brackets, are used to include an endpoint in an interval, and the symbols of the parentheses are used to exclude an endpoint from an interval. So I'll be the same thing as these two are the same as like a closed circle. The brackets, the parentheses are the same thing as an open circle if we're looking at inequalities. And so, for example, the set of all real numbers between but not including 5 and 7 would be written as parentheses 5, 7. So interval notation, we are writing it in with these either parentheses or brackets. If we are not including the number, then we use parentheses. However, if we are including it, then we use the square brackets. And just a note, an interval that goes forever in the positive direction goes to infinity, and an interval that goes forever in the negative direction goes to negative infinity. So for instance, for this infinite interval here, it went forever in the positive direction, so that means it's going to infinity. So let's look at several examples of really a few different types of interval notation that we'll come across. So this first one, we have numbers less than 8. There's the number line of what that looks like. So I have an open circle because I'm not including the 8 and I'm looking at everything less than it. When we're writing that as an inequality, that is x is less than 8. However, if I'm writing that in interval notation, I see this is an infinite interval because it's going forever in the negative direction. And since it's going forever in the negative direction, it's going to go from negative infinity to, and it's at 8. And now I need to see, okay, is it going to be a bracket that I'm using or parentheses? Well, here, since I'm not including the 8, it's going to be parentheses. And so that would be the interval notation. Now, on the other hand, I have numbers greater than or equal to -3. So here I see I have a closed circle, and it's going forever in the positive infinity direction. And so here, that means I am having it start at 3, and it's going to infinity. Sorry, -3. My -3, it's included, so that means I'm going to be using a square bracket. And then for your infinities, you're always just using a parentheses. Okay, next one, numbers between but not including 2 and 5. So I see the number line there. I see my inequality, 2 is less than x is less than 5. So here I'm going from the numbers 2 and 5. I'm not including either of them, so they're going to be parentheses. And then last one, numbers 1 through 4. I see I'm including both of those. So that's going to be square brackets. So these do also look like points that you would see on a graph. So it's very important that you know the context of when we're using these to know that this actually is representing an interval and not a point on the graph. Let's go through these 4 different examples. So I'm going to use interval notation to represent each set of numbers. So I see for this first one, I have a finite interval. It's 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 7. I know for less than or equal to, that means I'm including the 3, so that means that's going to be a square bracket. Less than means it's going to be a parentheses. So that means that my answer here is going to be 3, 7, square bracket on the 3, parentheses on the 7. Next one I see I have a number line. I have a closed circle here, so I know that's going to be a bracket. And I see my arrow is going forever in the negative direction. And so that means it's going to negative infinity. And it's ending at 6 with a closed bracket, negative 6. Okay, looking at this next one, I have a little bit more going on. I have 5 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 8, or x is greater than or equal to 10. So this first one's a finite interval. I see I have a less than in there, so I know that's going to be a parentheses. Less than or equal to, so I know that's going to be a bracket. So I have parentheses 5, comma 8, square bracket. Or then I have x is greater than or equal to 10. So I know greater than or equal to, that is a square bracket. And I'm saying everything bigger than that. So that means I'm going forever in the positive direction. So that means that this is going to go from 10 to infinity. Okay, and then looking at this last one, I see I have an open circle and negative 2, so it's going to be a parentheses. And it's going forever in the negative direction. So that means that this is going to be negative infinity to negative 2. Or I see I have this finite interval right here from 0 to 2. And I see both of these are closed circles. So that means I'm going to have square brackets on both of these. So that means that this is just going to be square brackets of 0 to 2.